Good morning, comic fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your host, Shorty, and yes, it's been a while. It's been a while. Sorry, odd reaction there. Me and my best mate have a thing where everyone says it's been a while. We respond in song. I don't know why I did that on a YouTube or TikTok video. That made no sense, even to me. That's weird. Right. Anyway, that out of the way. God, you can tell I do these live, can't you? We're going to review Twig today. And this is a kid's comic book, and I thought that might make it easy to review. And then I started reading it and thought, no, there's more going on here. And the fact that it's a kid's comic book means you have to approach it in different directions. And I will get into some of that. But first, start off, we're going to talk about some of the pros and cons of just how it works as a comic book generally. First, I'm going to start with a con, unusually, which is the fact that I don't like the guttering. And for people who don't necessarily follow comic terminology, guttering is all the white stuff you're seeing in between the artwork there. Sometimes you don't even get guttering. Sometimes pages have panels that just either deliberately go line to line with each other or they overflow each other. Sometimes it'll be one-page spreads. But guttering is kind of there. And for the most part, it shouldn't really matter. But because of how intense and vibrant the artwork is throughout most of the comic book, it feels weird that there's just so much empty space. And I quite like sometimes use of negative space when it's part of the artwork. All I could really think is, because this is aimed at younger readers, maybe there's an editorial decision to keep the page layout as simple as possible and make sure that there is obvious delineation between the artwork. Basically, here is a bit of story, then there's a break, then there's another bit of story, which I guess makes kind of sense, but I don't personally think that's necessary. I think kids should be able to pick up and read this kind of stuff dead easy. I mean, I used to read Beano and Dandy when I was a kid, and they actually had some pretty fun layouts, and they did some interesting things with the pages. I think if that's what they've done, it's selling it short. If there isn't a good reason for doing it, I think it's just a weird choice to make. But now something I absolutely love, which is the artwork. It is glorious and fantastical throughout. Almost every single panel has something worth paying attention to more than you usually would do. There's a lot of attention paid to the background in this kind of thing. There is so much going on in terms of little odd choices of world building and just creature design as well, which is fantastic. Now, go to a negative again here. There's so much of that going on, and it's great and glorious, but there's so little context given for it. And I am usually a massive fan of a show don't tell, but I can't help but feel that, again, maybe it's just that kind of selling it short. It is just, yeah, here are some pretty things. You don't need to know what they mean. They're just pretty. And that feels, again, just underselling what I think the kids who might want to read this one will be able to get from it. But it's still great. It's fantastic, and it's off-putting as well, which is lovely. I'm a big fan of horror stuff or scary things, should I say, aimed at children. I personally think Coraline is one of my favorite movies. I absolutely love the weird horror things happening in that, which is clearly a kids' movie. And I also think stuff like Fraggle Rock, which it can tell quite complicated ideas of environmentalism and socialism and such things, can work really well together and are aimed at kids. And it's done in such a way that the ideas can come across, and it also tells a great story. And it is weirdly Fraggle Rock, which was the first thing that came to mind when I was reading Twig. Maybe it's the character design, but I also think it's the dialogue choices, because it is really well written. As thin as some bits may be, the characterization is absolutely spot on. There is, for the most part, only two main protagonists, Twig and I've forgotten his little glow-in-the-dark friend, who are often on an adventure. And I could wax lyrical about the kind of adventure arc you get in stories, but go and read Elizabeth Sandford. She'll do way more about this kind of thing, the hero's journey and stuff like that. I think that might be overthinking it for this particular one. There's some background here for the character is that their father was an adventurer, but they wanted to be a chef. But when their father died being an adventurer, they were kind of roped into just doing it because they needed somebody to do it. And that kind of odd little plot point feels very heavy and out of sync with the rest of the comic book, but in a way that I like. It seems like it does its best when it is trusting its readers to follow a more complicated story, and when it's basically not dumbing itself down for them. Be that in dialogue choices, where sometimes there is some absolutely brilliant, sharp, quick-witted banter backwards and forwards between two people or two characters who clearly know each other very well. But then also the idea that the creature the entity sending Twig on his adventure is a mountain, and it has a fantastic name, which I've sadly just forgot. But it's one of those things that oh yes, there we go, Mount Guffin. And if you're aware of storytelling ideas and tropes, you know what a MacGuffin is. Mount Guffin is just a fantastic thing. But Mount Guffin is also deeply unsettling. He is a giant talking mountain with mammalian eyes. And I don't know why, but that really freaks me out. When it does stuff like that, when it is intelligent and when it is clever and quick and trusts its readers, it's great. I just think it's trying a little bit too hard to play it safe, and I don't think it needs to. I think there's way more going on that's actually worthwhile paying attention to. That's it for me today, though. I'll be back tomorrow, though. Until then, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.